Escalation.
You may rejoice, citizens of Iacon. Your new ruler, Megatron, has arrived. No longer will you be plagued by the burdens of freedom and choice. Henceforth, my will is the only guidance you shall require. Embrace the Decepticon way
in spite of the fact that some people still think that they know him. Fuck him, he knows the code. It's not about the salary, it's all about reality and making some noise, making a story, making sure his click stays up. That means when he puts it down, Top's picking it up. Let's go.
Who the hell is he anyway? He never really talks much, never concerned with status, but still leaving him starstruck. Humble through opportunities given despite the fact that many misjudge him because he makes a living from writing raps. Put it together himself, got a picture connects, never asking for someone's help or to get some respect. He's only focused on what he wrote. His will is beyond reach, and now it all unfolds. The skill of an artist. This is 20% skill, 80% fear, 100% grit. His life is ill. Who would have thought he'd be the one that set the West in flame? But I heard him under the release to let the name of the game. Came back, dropped Megadeth, took him to church. I like bleach, man. I had the stupidest verses, dude, it's the truth. Now everybody give me the best spots. It's not true. I'm really fucking with that style. 10% 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. They call him like he's spitting fire with Mike. Got him out the dryer, he's hot. Found him in Fort Minor with top. But a fucking nihilist porcupine. He's a prick, he's a cop of the type. Really wanna be with the rappers, hoping to shot 8 years in the making, patient, waiting to blow. Now they wrestle with the notice, taking over the globe. He's got a partner in crime. This shit is eating with guts. You won't believe the kind of shit that comes out of this kid's throat. He's not your everyday on the block. He knows how to work with good. He's got making his way to the top. He don't think it's a comment on his name. People keep asking him, was it giving that person just a stand for an actor? No, he's living proof. Let him rock in the booth. He'll get you buzzing quicker than a shot of vodka with juice. Streets, it's all around. He's one of the best. Dedicated to it.
Forget Mike. Nobody really knows how to rhyme. He works so hard, it seems like he's never got time. Because he writes every note, he writes every line. And I've seen it working, but not like goes on in his mind. It's like a design. It is that every time before. It's like he's a kid and speaks in a rhyme. And motherfuckers like run, like a kid that he's signed. Kick him without even trying. How does he do it? He's 10% love, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name.
the dryer, he's hot. Got him a full minor with top, but a fucking nihilist porcupine. He's a prick, he's a cock. The type women wanna be with the rappers, hope he gets shot. 8 years in the making, patiently waiting to blow. Now the record we should notice taking over the globe. He's got a partner in crime, this shit is equally dope. You won't believe the kind of shit that comes out of his kid's throat. He's not your everyday on the block. He knows how to work with what he's got, making his way to the top. He don't make it to comment on his name. People keep asking him, was it? Give it that purpose, just a stamp on that. He's in the booth, I'm rocking the booth. Get you hands up, put my hand and shout it out with the juice. Niggas do it on the round, the best. Dedicated to what they do and give 100%. Forget life.
Nobody really knows how or why he works so hard. It seems like he's never got time because he writes every note, he writes every line, and I've seen it at work. When that light goes on in his mind, it's like his design is written in his head every time before he even touches a key or speaks in a rhyme. And those motherfuckers he runs with his, I know exactly what it is. Not even try. Having a choice is 10% luck, 20% skill, 18% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. 10% luck, 20% skill, 18% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. trying. How did you do this? Is 10% love, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. This is 10% love, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100%
and he's spitting fire and Mike got him out the dryer, he's hot. Found him in Fort Minor with top, but a fucking nihilist porcupine. He's a flick, he's a cock, the type when you wanna be with the rappers, hoping get shot. 8 years in the making, patiently waiting to blow. Now the record with the note is taking over the globe. He's got a partner in crime, this shit is equally death. You ever see the kind of shit that comes out of this kid's throat? He's not your every day on the block. He knows how to work with this, got making his way to the top. He don't know it's a common on his name. Was it given that brother doesn't stand for an act? No, he's even proof. Let him rock in the booth. He'll get you was a shot of rock on the juice. Him and his crew are on the ground. He's one of the best. When they get into the video, we'll get 100%.
Forget Mike, nobody really knows how or why he works so hard. It seems like he's never got time because he writes every note, he writes every line, and I've seen him at work when that light goes on in his mind. It's like a design is written in his head every time before he even touches the key. He speaks in a rhyme, and those motherfuckers he runs with the kids that he signed. Ridiculous, without even trying. How do they do it? This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 10% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. Fort Minor, M. Shinoda, styles of beyond. Ryu, top beer, machine shop, weapons over here. Got a picture connects, never asking for someone's help, but to get some respect. He's only focused on what he wrote. His will is beyond reach, and now it all unfolds. The skill of an artist. This is 20% skill, 80% fear, be 100% clear. Cause Ryu was ill. Who would've thought he'd be the one that set the rest in flame? I heard him record with the crystal method, name of the game. Came back, dropped mega death, took him to church. I like sleep, man. Ryu had to sleep with his emotions. Everybody giving him guest spots. Stocks with the roof, I heard you fucking with S-Dots. 10% love, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. They call him Ryu, he's sick and he's spitting fire and Mike got him out the dryer. He's hot, found him in Fort Minor with top, but a fucking nihilist porcupine. He's a flick, he's a cop, the type women wanna be within rappers, hope he gets shot. 8 years in the making, patiently waiting to blow. Now the record is your notice, taking over the globe. He's got a partner in crime, this shit is equally rough. You ain't believe the kind of shit that comes out of this kid's throat. He's not your every day on the block. He knows how to work with good, he's got making his way to the top. He don't think it's a common on his name. He's the best in the world. Giving that person doesn't stand for an act, but no. He's the fucking one, he's the rock. But you know that you can get a shot of rock. Nobody really knows how or why he works so hard. It seems like he's never got time because he writes every note, he writes every line, and I've seen him at work when that light goes on in his mind. It's like a design is written in his head every time. When he touches the key, he speaks in a rhyme, and those motherfuckers he runs with the kids that he signed. Ridiculous, without even trying. How did he do this? Is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50%
Megadeth, tripping the church. I like blues, man. How you had the stupidest verses, dude, is the truth. Now everybody giving them guest spots and stocks through the roof. I heard you fucking with that stock.
10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name.
Falling out of the city, we spitting fire with Mike. Got it out the dryer, he's hot. Got him in for mine over top. Got a fucking nihilist porcupine. He's a prick, he's a cock. The type when you wanna be with the rappers, hope he gets shot. 8 years in the making, patiently waiting to blow. Now they like you wish you know this, thinking over the blow. He's got a partner in crime. This shit is equally dope. You don't believe the kind of shit that comes out of this kid's throat. He's not your everyday on the block. He knows how to work with wood. He's got making his way to the top. He knows the bits of common on his name. People keep asking him, was it giving that blood? What does it stand for on that? But he knows he's so confused. Let him rock in the block. The passion was the coup. In the shot of vodka and juice. Him and his crew all around. He's one of the best. They get into what they do and get 100%.
Nobody really knows how or why he works so hard. It seems like he's never got time because he writes every note, he writes every line, and I've seen him at work when that light goes on in his mind. It's like the design is written in his head every time before he even touches a key or sticks in a rhyme. And those motherfuckers he runs with, the kids that he signed, ridiculous without even trying. How did he do this? 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. Fort Minor, M. Shinoda, the styles are beyond. Caillou, top beer. Megadeth, tripping the church. I like blues, man. I just had the stupidest verses, dude, is the truth. Now everybody giving them death spots and stocks through the roof. I heard you fucking with that stock. 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. He's spitting fire with Mike, got him out the dryer. He's hot, found him in Fort Minor with top for the fucking nihilist porcupine. He's a freak, he's a cock, the type when you wanna be with the rappers, hope he gets shot. 8 years in the making, vision, waiting to blow. Now the record, you should know this, taking over the globe. means when he puts it down, Tops picking it up. Let's go.
Who the hell is he anyway? He never really talks much, never concerned with status, but still even him starstruck. Humble through opportunities, given despite the fact that many misjudge him because he makes a living from writing raps. Put it together himself, got a picture connects, never asking for someone's help. With some respect, he's only present, so in the road. He's weapons on the road, and now it all unfolds. The skill of an artist. This is 20% skill, 80% fear, be 100% clear. Cause Ryan was ill. Who would've thought he'd be the one that set the Western flame? Then I heard him record with the instrument, the name of the game. Came back, dropped Megadeth, took him to church. I like roots, man. How you had the stupidest verses, dude, it's the truth. Now everybody giving them guest spots and stops for the roof. I'm really fucking with that stop.
10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name.
They call him right, he's sick, he's spitting fire. His mic got him out the dryer, he's hot. Found him in Port Minor with top, with a fucking Nile. He's porcupine, he's a prick, he's a cop. The type really wanna be with the rappers, hope he gets shot. 8 years in the making, patiently waiting to blow. Now the record with your notice taking over the globe. He's got a partner in crime, this shit is equally broke. You won't believe the kind of shit that comes out of this kid's throat. He's not your everyday on the block. He knows how to work with, he's not making his way to the top. You don't think it's a common on his name. Asking him was it, giving the record, does he stay on that? But no, he's looking proof. Let him rock in the booth. He'll get you buzzing through it and a shot of rockin' with juice. Him and his crew are all around. Dedicated to what they do, but give 100%.
Forget Mike, nobody really knows how or why he works so hard. It seems like he's never got time because he writes every note, he writes every line, and I've seen him at work when that light goes on in his mind. It's like the design is written in his head every time before he even touches the key or speaks in a rhyme. And those motherfuckers he runs with the kids that he signed, ridiculous, without even trying. How did he do this? Is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. More finer, M. Shinoda,
Megadeth took him to church. I like Greek, man. Why you had his stupidest verses, dude, is the truth. Now everybody giving them guest spots. Stop for the who I heard you fucking with that stop.
10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name.
Call him right, he's sick, he's spitting fire. His mic got him out the dryer. He's hot, got him in full minor with top. Fucking Nile, he's porcupine. He's a trick, he's a cop. The type really wanna be within rappers, hope he gets shot. 8 years in the making, patiently waiting to blow. Now the record with your notice taking over the globe. He's got a partner in crime. This shit is really dope. You won't believe the kind of shit that comes out of this kid's throat. He's not pressure every day on the block. He knows how to work with his life, making his way to the top. He often gets a comment on his name. That's when he was giving up that position. Put the mic in the booth, he'll get you buzzing quicker than a shot of vodka and juice. One of the best, dedicated to what they do, but give 100%.
Forget Mike, nobody really knows how or why he works so hard. It seems like he's never got time because he writes every note, writes every line, and I've seen him at work, but not like it's on in his mind. It's like a design, it's written in his head every time. Before he even touches the key or speaks in a rhyme, and those motherfuckers who runs with the things that he signs are ridiculous. Not even trying, how does he do it? 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. Fort Minor, M. Shinoda, styles of beyond.
Good day, sir!